If you have a bike that's overheating a lot, the likelihood that that motor is gonna explode is just significantly higher. If you're just getting into riding bikes, like, plan on learning how to be a mechanic and learn these skills of, like, oh, I do my own oil changes. Yeah, I do my own spark plug, my own air filter, my own fuel pump, my own chain and sprockets, like all these things. Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. It is a brisk 47 degrees out on our way to work yet again. I really should start going on different routes to work. Really should start going on different routes to work so that visually this is more enjoyable to watch. Today I wanted to talk about some maintenance items that I think are crucial really to any Japanese bike. You know, obviously I'm on a ZX6R, so I'll be kind of speaking, oh, that was my bad, I totally cut that dude off. Speaking from my experience a little more. God damn it. For context, I had a FZ07 and now a ZX6R, and of course, like, every bike is gonna have its own weird little finicky things that you're gonna have to manage. Really, I mean, if you do kind of the main ones, you're gonna be just fine. And obviously, you know, general maintenance stuff always is gonna apply no matter what. Oil changes, spark plugs, air filters. I've always done all of the maintenance on my own bikes. I've never really paid somebody to do that for me. Because, you know, on a car, it's one thing, you got a lot of fluid that you're flushing out. Maybe you need to lift the car, maybe it's a car where it's more complex to change the spark plugs and shit. But on a bike, it's like, dude, it's one bolt, you warm up the bike for 5 minutes, drain it, fucking plug it back up with a new crush washer, and then you're good to go. Things that I've noticed that will keep a bike much healthier for much longer is frequent oil changes, one, and then two, just finding a way to keep the bike cool for as long as possible. Like, you'll notice, like, right now, you know, in the winter, like, your bike runs great, especially, you know, up here. You know, we're at a high altitude, so there's not as much oxygen in the air, but when it's colder, the bike runs so much better because it's enjoying that nice cold air. It's better for the engine, and it's better to keep the bike nice and cool. If you have a bike that's overheating a lot, the likelihood that that motor is gonna fucking explode is just significantly higher. So, you know, granted, it's different per bike, but we're talking just kind of general stuff. Keep your bike cool. The product that I like to use for that, for me, is Engine Ice. I know water wetter will keep your engine cooler on paper. The problem with water wetter is that it will freeze. So when you're getting into bikes, or maybe you just got a bike and you don't know how to do the maintenance and shit on it, really, like, it's very simple to learn how to do this stuff, but learn how to do an oil change, because that'll save you a lot of money. It cost me 50 bucks to get an oil change kit, and maybe half an hour of my time, if that. I don't have to take it anywhere. We can just do it at home. You don't need a lot of crazy tools either. So having that kind of investment into yourself to learn those skills is really important. Then you start looking at things like spark plugs or air filters. One of the things on the ZX6R is that you don't have to do it, but you really should do it, is the clean air mod. If you're going to be doing a lot of wheelies. If you're not doing a lot of wheelies, you don't really need it. But if you're going to be doing wheelies a lot for longer periods of time at balance point, what can happen is the oil can spurt backwards into the engine, up through the air filter, and then get into the cylinders. And you never want that, just because the way that the bike is oriented. So you do the clean air mod, just involves some hoses and a new air filter. And I mean, again, that's like a $30 fix, if that. As far as air filters go, if you're coming from dirt bikes, you'll know that you can clean your air filters I've never really needed to clean my air filters a whole lot. I've always just replaced them, because usually I'm upgrading the air filter anyways. So like if this one has an OEM in it, you know, if it's super dirty, like why not just throw a K&N air filter in it? I think it's a good philosophy to have with maintenance stuff on your bike, because if you have to do something, not only should you do it right, but if you have the opportunity to upgrade whatever it is that you have to replace, do it, because you're gonna keep your bike much healthier for much longer. You know, I'm gonna have to do on this bike at least is the fuel pump. This thing does not like the cold start, and sometimes the fuel pump just doesn't prime when you turn the bike on. So I think changing the fuel pump to like a quantum fuel pump would be fantastic. I think it would really just help the power delivery and all that, keep it healthier for longer. You know, not only is that going to be something that you're going to have to replace over time, but keep healthy. You'll notice in my last video when I washed my bike, I washed down the chain and sprockets. I had to re-lube that right afterwards, because you want to keep it lubed, you want to keep it tight, and you'll start to feel it too. You know, a lot of these maintenance items, if you understand how an engine works, even just to a basic extent, you'll be able to feel it when you're riding. Hey, something's not quite right. You know, maybe, and some things maybe you can get a little superstitious with, like oil changes. You might not necessarily feel an oil change that you need, but you will feel when your chain and sprockets are going out, because your chain's going to be sloppier. You're not going to have the power delivery on command. There's almost going to be a little bit of a delay. Maybe with a spark plug, your bike's just not going to be firing correctly. It's going to be a little bit slower to get up into those RPMs. Same thing with a fuel pump. Like, hey, I know my bike doesn't like the cold start, so, and I know the fuel pump isn't priming properly. So, you know, that could be a diagnosable issue if you just have some basic comprehension. Fork seals are another one. Fork seals are very easy to diagnose because you can just see it. You look down at your bike like, why the fuck are my forks just pissing out oil? Fork seals are a little weird because they require some specialty tools, and last time I did fork seals, it's kind of a pain in the ass, and there's a lot of moving parts in there, and you need to make sure you do it right. So that could be something I could see being a reasonable thing to pay somebody else to do if you're not experienced with them. I'm really trying to just kind of speak to newer riders. If you're just getting into riding bikes, like, plan on learning how to be a mechanic and learn these skills of like, oh, I do my own oil changes. Yeah, I do my own spark plug, my own air filter, my own fuel pump, my own chain and sprockets, like all these things, because really it's kind of all the same on most bikes, or at least most Japanese bikes. It's going to be pretty much the same process. Yeah, the bolts might be a little bit different, or maybe the process of getting to the place you need is a little bit different, but they're very similar. And once you learn one, you kind of know how to do them all. Like, for me, like, I've done so many different oil changes, so many different spark plug changes, and all these general maintenance issues that I could do it on any Japanese bike. You know, as far as like looking at something like a Ducati, I've never owned a Ducati, I've never done the maintenance on them, so I don't really know exactly what the process is. It's a different engine format, it's a completely different kind of manufacturer, so that's something that you just hop onto YouTube for.